Okay.
Go ahead.
Are we ready?
Mhm. Yeah, we're ready.
The flag isn't there on my screen anyway.
It is on the stream. Go ahead.
Okay. Meeting is now called to order. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
United States of America,
and to the republic
for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
to be seated. Okay. Let's work on that in the future. Okay. Now we review back here. And I want to welcome everybody to this very unique meeting in the history of our village. And obviously the usual way we meet is in person, everybody in the same room. However, then that is required by the Ohio Open Meetings Act. However, the governor of the state and the health department have issued orders forbidding such meetings. So we would normally not be able to meet at all, but the state has provided to do so, which is to meet, have a virtual meeting by video, which is what we are doing. And that meeting is legal under the state law, provided that adequate notice is given, provided that the members of the governmental body involved can see and hear one another when they're speaking, and provided that members of the public also can see and hear the proceeding. All of those objectives have been met here, largely due to the technical expertise and efforts of our local cable service provider, ICRC, and our assistant administrator, David Love. Thank you to everyone who made this work. I'm going to begin this meeting a bit unusually again because I want to make sure there's a record that
Don, we can't hear you.
Yeah, we lost your audio.
Did you put your papers on top of the laptop, perhaps?
It didn't work.
We can't hear you, Don.
You're on mute now. Oh.
not sure why I'm on mute.
There you go.
There.
Maybe your papers are on your laptop.
No, not at all. Just kept, it kept showing up mute, and then I'd click on mute and it would still go back, default back. So I don't understand that. But
You're loud and clear now.
great.
So
Okay.
I highly recommend everybody goes on mute because there's so much background noise from people moving around that you can't hear anything.
That's okay with me. But anyway, for now, I'm going to, I can't have everybody on mute right now because I'm going to ask the clerk of the court, clerk of the council to call the roll. So we have a record that everybody is here who is supposed to be here. So Madam Clerk, would you call a roll?
Absolutely. Chief Hardwick,
Here.
Chief Warman,
Here.
Solicitor Ryan,
Here.
Ms. Greninger,
Here.
Mr. Bay Smith,
Here.
Ms. Masenko,
Here.
Ms. Duke,
Here.
Mr. Howeller,
Here.
Mr. Bessel,
Here.
Village Administrator Cordes.
Here.
Thank you. Mayor Lofty, we have a quorum present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And We have an agenda that has been circulated and there's been no objection to it. So we will proceed with it. And we will begin with the minutes from the March 2nd, 2020 meeting, which were circulated. Some changes were made. Do I have and the final was circulated. Do I have a motion to accept these minutes as amended?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
all right. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And we had required for this meeting that anybody wishing to address council should contact the village office by 4 o'clock on Friday, and no one did so. So there is no public comment for today. We begin therefore with item 4, Roman numeral 4 on the agenda, old business. And this is the second reading of ordinance 2020-11, an ordinance amending chapter 72 of the Village of Glendale Code of Ordinances to make it, did we lose somebody? Okay. To make it unlawful for the driver of any vehicle to use or operate or cause to be used or operated within the incorporated Village of Glendale, any engine brake, compression brake, or mechanical exhaust device designed to aid in braking or deceleration of any vehicle that results in excessive, loud, unusual, or explosive noise from such vehicle, unless such use is necessary to avoid imminent danger. This ordinance was introduced at the March meeting, and this is now the second reading. And is there any discussion of it or anything at this point? Okay, so we go to ordinance 2020-12. This is an ordinance authorizing an increase in the 2020 appropriations of the water fund. Mr. Cordes or Mr. Basemith, would either of you care to give us some background on this ordinance?
If I may, I'll defer to Wally.
Okay,
I'd be happy to offer some information on this. As you know, we're working on the replacement water line project to obtain a low interest loan to replace the entirety of it from Chester Road to the town hall. While we're putting a new bridge in, we discovered that the water line is in a different location than we anticipated, requiring its removal and relocation. We need to have the water line relocated so that the bridge can be completed. And I want to mention that the money we will spend now to relocate this water main will be deducted from the project this fall to replace the water main in its entirety. So it's somewhat of a push. Also, the $85,966 that we would need to relocate this water main for a total of 270 lineal feet will be included in the loan that we get late this summer or fall and reimbursed to the water department. So in essence, we're doing work ahead of time and we'll get the money back into the water account. And yes, we do have enough money in the water account, much owed to the recent increase in water rates.
okay, do I have a motion for this ordinance?
So moved.
And a
Second.
second? Okay, any discussion?
I have a question for Mr. Cordes.
Yes, Nancy Masenko.
Does this additional work have any impact on the overall schedule of the work on the bridge? Has the schedule changed?
It's anticipated it could take 4 to 6 additional days. However, during this pandemic flu epidemic, they are continuing to work as necessary services. So it's my anticipation that the schedule will still complete in 30 more days.
Great, thank you.
I have a follow-up question, Mr. Cordes.
Yes, Councilwoman Duke.
In the ordinance, it says that the village has been approved by the Ohio Water Development Authority. And given the governor's executive order and so many subsequent developments under that order, does the Village of Glendale have a written commitment from the Water Development Authority to extend the money to us?
We do not have a written commitment. In negotiating with the Ohio Water Development Authority, they've indicated they will give us a low interest loan in the area of 1.75, if not lower percent, for a 20-year period. However, before they will commit to us and before I can come to council for legislation to adopt it, I will need to have a bid process completed. We've recently gone to bid. We've had 7 participants. The bids range from $2.4 million to $1.6 million. Councilman Jeff Basemith attended, as well as Mayor Dawn Lofty. The engineer is currently evaluating those bids, and they will recommend the lowest and or best bidder to us within the next 2 weeks so that we can award at the May meeting.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
To dispense with the 3 reads, Ms. Gruninger,
Yes.
Mr. Basemith,
Aye.
Ms. Masenko,
Aye.
Ms. Duke,
Aye.
Mr. Howeller,
Aye.
Mr. Bessel.
Aye.
To approve the ordinance, Ms. Gruninger,
Aye.
Mr. Basemith,
Aye.
Ms. Masenko,
Aye.
Ms. Duke,
Aye.
Mr. Howeller,
Aye.
Mr. Bessel.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Turning now to Resolution 2020-13, a resolution authorizing what? Oh, a resolution I'm getting a feedback. I'm sorry. A resolution authorizing the adoption of an alternative method of apportioning the local government fund as provided by the Hamilton County Auditor. And presumably, and declare, the title should read, and declaring an emergency. Can we make a friendly amendment to it to add the words to the title and declaring an emergency?
I
So
move
moved.
the friendly amendment to add "and declaring an emergency" after the title word auditor.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, Mr. Cordes, perhaps you can give us some background on this one?
I can. This is the local government fund, which comes from the state to Hamilton County, and they divide it up among the municipalities. For many years, we received a significant amount of money and eroded over many years to the point where we received nothing. The other municipalities were in disagreement with how it was distributed to all the municipalities, and they established this method of making sure that each community got their fair share. And this has been happening for many years now. I believe in 88, 95, 04, and 2012, this has been renewed. We're now up for renewal again. The last time we received these funds, it was in the amount of about $35,600. Our anticipated share for next year is $38,000.
Okay, and so in order to get $38,000, we need to pass this resolution.
We do.
Okay, do I have a motion for this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Yes, I'm sorry to keep bringing up the governor's executive order, but here again, we may be impacted somehow with funds coming out of the Ohio Local Government Fund, that LGF. So whereas we are hoping to receive this amount of money now, I would ask the mayor, the administrator, and the treasurer to closely monitor the Ohio LGF to see if we do receive this amount, or hopefully not, a lesser amount.
Will do.
We will do that. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk?
We need a motion on 3 reads. I have
sorry.
a friendly amendment in the motion, but I don't have a 3 reads motion.
Okay, I got to have myself there.
So
Okay.
moved for the
Do I have a
emergency.
motion for the resolution?
So
The
moved.
resolution I have.
Okay,
It's a three
Motion to
reads.
Three
suspend
reads.
3 reads.
okay.
Thank you.
For the emergency. I move for the emergency.
Second.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, any further discussion? Madam Clerk?
Okay. To dispense with the three reads, Ms. Groninger,
Aye.
Mr. Baysmith,
Aye.
Ms. Masenko,
Aye.
Ms. Duke,
Aye.
Mr. Howeller,
Aye.
Mr. Bessel. Mr. Bessel, you're on mute.
Please.
Unmuted. Aye.
Thank you. For the resolution, Ms. Groninger,
Aye.
Mr. Baysmith, Mr. Baysmith,
He's mute.
you're on mute.
You're mute.
Oh. Apologies. Aye.
That's okay. Ms. Masenko,
Aye.
Ms. Duke,
Aye.
Mr. Howeller,
Aye.
Mr. Bessel.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carried. Sorry. We now have Resolution 2020-14, a resolution declaring a state of emergency in the village of Glendale due to the coronavirus disease outbreak and declaring an emergency. This one came as a bit of a surprise to me, but it turns out that virtually every municipality in Hamilton County and probably in the state of Ohio has done this, and it puts us in a position to seek aid under certain circumstances. At my insistence, there was a clause put into Section 4 that states what is obvious, that should the mayor do anything the council disapproves of, council will have the ability to change that. So I think it's a resolution and an action that is appropriate and is being done by nearly everybody else. So I think it's a reasonable thing for us to be doing. Do I have a motion for the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
And a motion to dispense with 3 reads?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
No
Madam
discussion.
Clerk? Madam Clerk?
To dispense with the 3 reads, Ms. Groninger,
Aye.
Mr. Baysmith, Mr. Baysmith, you're on mute.
Yeah, my apologies. Aye.
Ms. Masenko,
Aye.
Ms. Duke,
Aye.
Mr. Howeller,
Aye.
Mr. Bessel.
Aye.
For the resolution, Ms. Groninger,
Aye.
Mr. Baysmith,
Aye.
Ms. Masenko,
Aye.
Ms. Duke,
Aye.
Mr. Howeller,
Aye.
Mr. Bessel.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I had one comment about this, but I was on mute. But what are the actions necessary to lift this once it's no longer needed?
I think it'd be the same thing. Council would simply come together and revoke it.
Okay. So long as we
Correct.
remember to do it, I'm hopeful that we will get over this emergency at some point in time.
Is that correct, Solicitor Ryan?
Correct. We'll
Okay.
take a formal action to affirm that, consistent with the state action, the emergency is lifted.
Right. And I think
Okay.
that's right. You know, it's when the state lifts the emergency, we would undoubtedly want to do the same thing.
Okay. Fair
Okay.
enough.
We turn now to reports, and we don't have very much in the way of reports. I'm going to dispense with my usual mayor's report, but I will read into the record a proclamation. And this is a proclamation celebrating Arbor Day 2020 in the village of Glendale. Whereas the purpose of Arbor Day is to promote a continuing awareness of the values of trees and forests for the citizens of Glendale, Ohio, And whereas trees in the urban forest are an important component of our community's structure, and whereas the conservation and restoration of our tree-lined streets and forested green belts through proper management remains a part of our strategy and it's a long-range goal. And whereas the Glendale Park Board program promotes reforestation of our tree canopy and community beautification, and whereas the village with private grants and funds has trimmed and removed dead street as needed, street trees, I think we meant to say there. Wally, did you catch that? You're mute. Did you caught
I did catch that. I'll correct that in the morning, sir.
Thank you. Street trees as needed, ground stumps and planted trees of various species to continue the reforestation of our tree canopy. And whereas 500 free tree seedlings were distributed to the public to support and celebrate Arbor Day in 2020, as we work toward our 24th Tree City USA Award and 10th Growth Award. Now therefore, I, Donald A. Lofty, Mayor of the Village of Glendale, Ohio, do hereby proclaim April 6, 2020 as Arbor Day in the Village of Glendale. And I urge all citizens to support efforts to protect and nurture our trees and urban forests, not just for the beauty they provide, but for the many environmental benefits they provide our community. In witness whereof, I have hereunto subscribed my name this 6th day of April in the year 2020. That is simply being read into the record because each year when the village seeks to be designated as a tree city by the Arbor Day Foundation, one of the requirements is that we have issued a proclamation. It's not one that is required to be signed by all of council, but the village, the mayor has to have signed it.
Mayor Lofty, may I add a note about this proclamation, sir?
Yes.
You'll note that this will be our 24th Tree City USA Award next year, due to the work, much owed to the work that we're doing this year. But more importantly, very, very few communities in the United States, especially in Ohio, have a sterling growth award. You only get those after 10 years of growth. We're on our 9th year of growth. Next year, if we spend a bit more money or plant a few more trees or do more composting, we will get the Sterling Growth Award and be one of the elite throughout the United States that has such recognition.
And not only that, and that is just a good thing for the overall promotion of the village. So I think it is something worthwhile doing. Besides, it's something we do anyway. Okay, I am not going to recite births and deaths at this meeting. I want to save that for a time when we can all be together and mourn together. However, I want to recognize the fact that a great many of Ohioans, Americans, and some from nearby have passed away. And so I'm going to ask that we all observe a moment of silence for them. May they rest in peace. And I meant to say that they had passed away due to the coronavirus. With that, we had, I think, one meeting last month, police department committee. Mr. Holwell, I don't know if you have anything you'd like to report.
No, the minutes were spread out among everybody. I think they were, okay, and I don't think anybody had too much to say except for Maryland, and we took that into consideration, and the minutes are online. Okay.
Okay.
David, are you still with us?
Yes, I am. I've kind of lost my thing here.
Okay. Well,
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Have a police department report for us.
Yes, I guess everybody received my first ever email to my reports. I guess they came through okay. You got my report. Basically, I just want to talk about real quick. I want to thank all the residents that have signed up to assist residents in the village with helping me pick up and deliver medicine and food. As of today, we've had 2 residents that requested help with their medicine. They were picked up and delivered. I didn't need to call for extra assistance. I was able to do it myself. So I do still want to thank everybody that signed up. I have your name, and we'll be calling as this grows. And also, I think a few residents have dropped off some gift cards for the residents, the Kroger's. And from here, I've been passed out. And if they need us to pick up for them, we will do that as well.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Chief Hardwick? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to intrude on you, Debbie.
That's fine. We didn't have a meeting this month, but I know that Chief Hardwick has been very busy coordinating the events around the county.
Okay.
So I would like to have him report.
Chief?
Okay. Well, just to kind of give you an update, you can imagine that with everything going on, and we're kind of thrown at the front line of all this. Appreciate all the help and support that we've gotten so far from everybody from the Matthew 25 Ministries that donated stuff for us. Hamilton County EMA has done a good job of getting supplies and resources, both county and state level. We have federal stuff starting to come in again. The sad part of it is we really are finding that the supplies are really hard to get. We have what we think is an okay amount right now, but that's going to continue to be, it's an unknown. We're going out into an unknown. Dr. Acton, who we talk on the phone daily with the health collaborative here in town to determine which direction we're going and what we should prepare for. And some of those meetings you walk away from and you're concerned that we don't have enough, but talked to the mayor today and I believe that we are okay. So we'll monitor that as closely as we can. I can't share anything else other than the stay-at-home order and how important that is and how much of a benefit that's been everywhere that it's been in place. It's done very well of keeping it under control as best we can. Fire and EMS wise, our run totals are down. It's just things, everybody's being more cautious, everybody's at home more. We're not making the runs that we used to. And that's good. We really have focused on trying to minimize hospital transports at this point to keep the hospital open for the people that are really sick. So we'll continue to work that way. Grant opportunities we can do to get supplies donated, we're working that way. And we're relying on our experts to help us out. So, we do have representation at the county level. We are at the EOC. We are with the health collaborative. We're with state EMA. So we have a good internet workings with everybody. So very, very happy to have that for us here in Glendale.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Any other committees that would want to report? I don't think we have to go through the whole roll at this point. So we go to miscellaneous business reports, reports from the clerk. Madam Clerk, any report?
No reports. As the quarter ends, I'll start to work up the first quarter summary of spending and expenses.
Very good. And Mr. Treasurer, I believe we received your report.
Yes, so all of you have seen the report, I hope. If you happen to compare it to last year at this time frame, we're actually, believe it or not, probably about 6,000 ahead of last year in our investments. And that's due to the fact that about 3 years ago, we started investing in 5-year CDs aggressively to try to maximize our predictions for what our stream of income would be for the village. So we're doing pretty good. I think something to take a look at as time develops is the revenue that we get from the state from basically gasoline taxes and other elements. I think we'll probably see a reduction in that, and we'll have to see how to address that. I'm not really concerned that the village can't manage that, but we'll just have to be cognizant that some of those revenues will be coming down. And we may have to make some adjustments on how we fund certain things that we currently have on the books. But at this time, we really don't have enough data to say that that's going to be a big impact.
Okay, thank you. We have received a number of financial reports. We received reports on cash transactions. Let's see, no. Okay, we start with the review of expenditures by the general fund and the enterprise fund of checking accounts, checking transactions through the end of March. And then we received a report on cash transactions and fund balances through February. And we received the expenditure report through February and the revenue report through February. Do I have a motion to acknowledge receipt of these reports?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No one. Okay. With that, and probably having achieved some sort of land speed record for Glendale Council meetings, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
before we adjourn, I would like to publicly thank Wally and his staff, Chief Warman, Chief Hardwick, and all the people that are working for this village on a thankless job and in these tough times. I want to thank them, and I hope everybody in our community appreciates it.
Amen. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
a question, while we are all together, is there any intent of holding committee meetings using this technology?
I would, yeah. I think it's certainly possible, provided we can get the services of ICRC for the meeting. And I think it should be something that is somewhat of a necessity, because I don't think this type of meeting format is optimal. But with that, it can be done.
I would like to request that we pursue it, since Utilities Committee has not met in some time, and because of the situation, we're kind of overdue. So I would like to see if we can't arrange it.
Okay, why don't you contact myself, Wally, and David, and we can all work together and see if we can get a meeting,
Sure.
utilities meeting, and that goes for any other committee too.
Mr. Mayor
Yes.
and
Yeah.
Councilman Jeff Smith, I'd like to request, as a member of the committee, I'd like to request the committee closely look at the Ohio Public Water Systems guidance under the executive order, which calls for us as a water supplier with our enterprise system to do certain things in this emergency. I don't want to discuss it necessarily now without everyone having an opportunity to look at the guidance. But I'd like to bring that to the attention of the Utility Committee, as well as the ordinance we passed, I think it was last year, in which certain increases are due to go in effect automatically, as I recall, next year, not this year, but next year. And I would ask that the committee revisit those automatic increases and in our water rates and our sewer rates, as well as look at the implementation guidance for Ohio public water systems.
Well, I think those are things that can be brought up at the committee meeting. Jeff, Mr. Graysmith, you're
You're
muted.
on mute, Jeff.
I keep leaning on the mash button. I agree, Marilyn. Yes, we need to do that.
Thank you.
Okay. Now is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Well, thank you all very much. And I trust this meeting ended up, we got accomplished what we had to get accomplished for the village. As I said, I don't consider it to be optimal. And so I don't think we will want to do anything really controversial or substantial unless it becomes absolutely critical. We will hope that perhaps by May 4th, the standard shelter in place, stay at home orders will be dissolved. But if not, we will have to continue to muddle through as best we can. So thank you all for being here, and thank you for those residents who may be listening to this meeting or will listen to it on ICRC in the future. This meeting is adjourned.
Thanks, Don.
Good night,